folder here open with some images I want to print out, and I'm going to go for an A1 portrait image first. So I'm just going to print this straight from Windows. I'm not going to use any other software in between. So I'm going to right click product, the file, and preview. Okay, now this isn't my usual way of doing kind of screen grab videos. It's just that the university machines here don't have the screen grabbing software that I can use to demonstrate this. Okay, so I've got a fairly high resolution image here of Lichfield Cathedral, and I'm up on the top line. Okay, so in the CAD suite we use the IP785 printer. CAD suite IP785. Okay, now so in the CAD suite we use the IP785 printer. CAD suite IP785. Okay, now there'll be some paper sizes you can choose straight from the menu. It'll pick them up from the printer. It's actually an A1 I want to use, so I may as well choose it just now. So ISO A1. Okay, the printing machine is going to choose the quality really, so just leave that at 600 dpi, and it's plain paper I'm using, so that's okay. Okay, so there's other types of paper that you could have loaded, but these are basically Canon products. They're not paper that you would have bought from the college shop. Okay, but that's really not enough settings to work with there. We need to go down to Options. Okay, and then go to the printer's properties. Printer properties. Okay, this brings up the driver for the IPF785. Okay, the media type, plain paper, that's all okay. It's the page setup I'm more interested in. So the second tab is page setup. Okay, it's remembered the ISO A1. Okay, I want it to fill the piece of paper with the print. So I've got a tick in enlarged or reduced printing, and I'm telling it to fit the paper size. So it's going to lose a bit of scale here. Okay, so I just want the picture to fill the piece of paper. Okay, the orientation of the original is portrait. So if I swap from landscape to portrait, you can see that it doesn't matter which way it is, the paper still gets loaded the same way. Paper gets loaded in the same position. You don't rotate the original. Okay, so it's portrait, and the paper source, the default would be a roll feed. Okay, but we're going to manually load the piece of paper. So we're going for manual for the paper source. And that should be all you need to do. Okay, so we click OK, and we're still not seeing a preview here. It's this little tick here that seems to stop the previews in Windows printing. So I'm going to take that tick off, and I can see my picture now is, fitting the piece of paper. There seems to be a bit more white space at the bottom, and we've got borders around the edge as well, so we're not completely filling the A1. Okay, the printer is capable of doing borderless printing, but whether it can do that with your piece of paper, that's where you would have to experiment yourself. Okay, we generally don't require borderless printing for photographs like this, but it's something that you would have to experiment with yourself. Okay, so then we go to print, and it processes the print, and it will send the print document across to the release station. Okay, so we'll move the camera now and see what we get at the release station. Here's my sheet of paper. Okay, this is a cut sheet A1, so it's probably going to be a bit easier to deal with than some of the papers that you folks try to use. Okay, there's two lights here, one indicating roll feed and one indicating sheet feed. At the moment the green light is on the sheet feed. So I'm going to load my own piece of paper. Now bear in mind, when I'm doing this demo, there's nobody else in the CAD suite, there's nobody else in the queue for printing. So I've kind of got the place to myself. It makes it much easier. It's much more difficult to negotiate print sheet feeding when there's more people trying to do it. Okay, so hit the load button. So sheet feed, we want to load. Okay, and it's asking me what do I want to do? Load roll paper or load a cut sheet? I go down to cut sheet, load cut sheet, and press the big OK button in the middle. Okay, it's saying the current media type is plain paper. That's okay. Now the graphic on the screen is showing the piece of paper getting positioned in this area. Okay, we've got a guide here to stop the end of the paper. Okay, and at the moment that's set to A1. There's a warning embossed in the plastic of the machine here, reminding you to only load one sheet. Very important. Okay, so this is the trickier bit, trying to get the paper in. So I'm just going to let it go over the back first, and then I've got the guide set for my A1 size. There's marks on the panel here showing me that. So you're just trying to keep the edge here nice and squarely against this ledge. There's an edge here that you can work against. So you push that in nice and slowly, and there's a little symbol on the screen saying listen out for a bleep. So you keep rolling it in until you hear the bleep. Try and keep it square in at this side. Okay, any inaccuracy and the plot might get rejected. Okay, I've had a bleep, but I'm just going to carry on pushing the paper a little bit further. Okay, so I've had my bleep. Try and keep it square. The better you are at loading it, the more the more successful your prints will be. So it's ready to go now. So we press OK to feed the paper. Okay, so the machine's starting to feel it grip the paper. And it should feed in some of the paper and then start asking questions. And then I'll bring the camera around so we can see what's happening on the screen. Okay, it can measure the width of the paper, but it isn't able to measure the length of the paper. Okay, if it did that, it would try to feed the paper in and back out again, and there's a chance that the paper starts moving side to side. So it basically says, right, I'll measure this, you tell me what this is. Okay, so I've got the camera focused on the display here, and it's asking me to confirm the length of the sheet. So I've got a minimum length of 279 millimeters, which is the height of an A4, and a maximum length of 1600 millimeters for a roll fed, for a sheet feed. Okay, so it's asking me to change the number at the top here. Okay, it says 0.0 millimeters at the moment. I'm going to move across one and go to 8. So the sheet length is 841 millimeters. Across again, go to 4. Across again, go to 1. So 841 millimeters sheet length. OK to set. OK again, perhaps. Okay, so it's confirming the sheet width now. It's measured the 594.1, and it's taking my measurement for the 841. So it's ready to go. So it just needs to receive the print now. So let's have a look at the release instead. So remember, you need your matriculation card activated for printing in the CAD suite. So you do that in the DJCAD library. So log in, and my print is sitting here ready to go. So I use the corner of the card. Makes a good tool for making the screen. It's difficult to work with your fingers, so the corner of the card works really well. And then no print jobs remaining. Okay, so the print is away and the printer now springs to life, so let's pull back and see the machine come to life. Okay, the print is already emerging out of the bottom of the machine. The data light here is flashing green, so as the data comes through from the print server, it's fed into the machine and it starts printing. So, providing we've got the paper aligned correctly, our print should complete. If the paper isn't aligned correctly, or it finds some debris on your paper or a blotch, then it might reject the print. It's quite a clever printer. Okay, so the actual print time here is only going to be probably less than a minute, which is really good. The loading time takes longer than the print time. It's coming through okay. Fingers crossed we're okay, but you can see there is a white margin, thin margin at the top, nearly a centimetre on either side here. Okay, so it's not printed right to the edge. Okay, you may need to use oversized paper to allow that to happen. Okay, and then trim down accordingly. So this is a portrait print. What we'll do next is the same setup, but just make sure that a landscape print comes out using the same methodology. So I'm pretty sure we're nearly done there. It's pretty near the end of the print. Now this paper is only 90 grams. It's a very basic paper. It's not anything specific for bubble jets, but even on very standard paper, this machine gives you a good printout. So the paper's ready to fall out now, so I'm just going to catch it just to make sure I don't lose it. Okay, and we may get a message saying release the paper. There's a large button here for releasing the paper. Okay, so it's terminating the job. A lot of grinding going on inside the machine here, but it should release my job in a few seconds. I don't want to just drag it, I want to use the release button when instructed to. Okay, the graphic here now is saying use the release button, and this is this device here. Just push it back, it lets the paper go. Okay, bring it back when you're finished. Okay, so let's just put that up and see what it looks like. Nice. Very nice, sharp print. And bear in mind, that's straight from Windows, hasn't really had much enhancement. Well, let's see if we get the same with a horizontal orientation, with a landscape print as well. Okay, the print driver this time has been told to process the plot as a landscape one, so I'm interested to see how this comes out. If it is clever enough to kind of keep the print the right way. Looks like it is. It's not kind of twisted, it's not forced a landscape plot onto a portrait piece of paper. That's what I was thinking it might do. So for the driver, the way the paper's orientated in the machine is kind of overruling what happens in the driver, which is good. It's more sensible. You wouldn't want, 2/3 of this print and 1/3 missing. So the two seem to be working sensibly together. I'll be interested to see what happens at the top of the print here. We're getting to a critical bit here. If it doesn't carry on printing, then the paper size is causing an issue. It seems to be fine. Okay, so given that, and this is the first time I've done sheet feeding on this, you should be okay. I haven't done anything here that was at all complicated or required any expert knowledge. It's all fairly basic, sensible stuff. Okay, so just waiting for it leaves it to dry for a few seconds. When you get the instruction here to release the paper, that's when you should do it. Don't just drag the paper out, please. Okay, it takes a few seconds for it to settle down. Okay, we've got the release button now, or the release message, and use the release and retrieve your print. And there we have it. That's a very good quality print, very fast. Okay, lovely, sharp, crisp. The edge situation is the tricky one with this printer, especially if you're trying to get a full page on a sheet feed setup.